Hello. Look at you in your studio.
Hi, Ryan.
Hi. I just realized when I see you, I see your whole setup, I'm like, man, my face is filling the whole frame
Oh,
there.
let me get a little closer, and you can
No,
see.
me. I felt like I was like a giant pancake just filling up the frame. So, so Nick, what is something that you are dedicated to?
Oh, wow. I feel like it's so hard to choose one thing. Um, and giving the context, the first thing I want to say is art, and also family. Being a vegetarian and bicycling, kind of maybe those can all be mixed together. But
Uh-huh.
also, to go further with art, I'm dedicated to making a drawing like every day and putting it out there, and I've been doing it for 8 years without missing a day. So
So you make a drawing every single day and you post it to Instagram.
yes,
And you work plein air, right? So you're outside doing it.
yeah, it's mostly plein air. Um, uh, yeah, occasionally like the watercolor, because I would like draw in pencil or pen and also incorporate watercolor, and like sometimes that would like freeze onto the pad of paper. So it would just be
Oh my
like
God.
pushing colorful ice crystals. Sketchbook.
So from the weather, that is dedication. That's like that picture of Monet where didn't Monet get crippling arthritis at some point? Was that Monet or was that, I think it's Monet, where it's like paint brushes and they're wrapped onto his hand and he's just trying to paint like a giant waterfall as his hand is like, anyway, it's a picture in my mind of someone whose hands are like, he can't use his hands anymore, but somehow they've wrapped these paint brushes onto them so he can keep painting.
Yes, there's
So
like
is it
no
extreme
stopping.
for you or is it a mark? Huh?
Oh, could you repeat the question, please?
Oh, so is it like, do you like the fact that you do this every day? Is it something like an extreme for you? Like is it something like it pushes you? Or is it more, I guess, what do you get out of it? Doing it every day.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I create meaning through repetition with it,
Ah,
but it's so interesting to see how I like perceive that every day. Because like some days it's like a total chore. I feel like I have no time to like do the whole drawing posting thing, but still make it happen. And other days it's like that's all I want to do, and yeah, so like
yeah.
kind of like revel in it, but it's still like I don't know. It's sort of weird to be like I've been painting in my studio like all day, and now I need to rush to school pickup, but oh, I have to get my drawing in. It's like this kind of like weird thing where sometimes I don't know where I'm coming from and where I'm going.
Yeah, I get it though. I get it. I mean, doing this show, Doodle with me, been doing it for a year now, every Friday, and I haven't missed a Friday either. When I go on trips, I bring my little my camera arm with me, and I'll just do it in any hotel. And it's been a good thing. I think it's been a good thing. Sometimes I worry if it feels like a job that I shouldn't be doing it anymore. But so far so good. So great. So for those of you who have joined us just now, this is Doodle with me. It's 30 minutes of idle chat and drawing. Doodling doesn't have any aim. It doesn't have any product. It can be anything that you want. And we welcome you to join us. As we talk, you can definitely chit chat with each other in the comments. And then also, of course, we'll be turning our cameras to our paper to, I don't know, showcase a little bit of what we do as you do what you do. Okay, you ready to do that, Nick?
Yes, yeah, I'm just gonna
Okay.
scoot my
Did I
chair
hypnotize
back.
you? Okay, great. So let's see if I can get my camera set up.
Hey.
Yeah, today I was going to try to get in. Oh, look, you're already ready. Today I was going to try to get in, and I didn't get into the studio until tonight. So that is just how it is. But I'd make a lot of art in my mind.
That's good.
All right, so let's see. Get our paper in the frame. So just to let you know, it's usually like the first half. You'll be the bottom half of the frame, and I'll be the top half of the frame. So you kind of have to look a little bit at the drawing to see if it fits in.
Okay, yeah, I'm trying to just set this up so I can see the screen because I want to see what you're drawing while I draw.
Well, I actually have to peek now and then at what you do because I am usually not able to see and draw at the same time, which is ironic. Nick, how do we know each other? Let's think about how we met.
That's a good idea. Well, we met while working at the Guggenheim Museum, right?
Yeah, you were working the desk, right? The front desk?
Yeah, I was working. Actually, I very first started off as the telephone operator at the Guggenheim Museum.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Right, and so it was like
That is
so it's like in
yeah.
that whole like visitor services area. So it was this part-time thing.
Right.
My roommate Cliff worked at the front desk, and he's like, "Hey, there's a job at the Guggenheim Museum. You should apply for it." Because I had been working at a Starbucks, and at that point, which I moved to New York with my art degree and wanted to do that. And I feel like I'm going on a tangent, but yeah, we met at the Guggenheim Museum. And what was your job there?
No, Nick, you can go on a tangent anytime you like because this is Doodle with me. We don't really have any any goals at all here, so no worries about ever going off on a tangent. In fact, I find tangents are really great because you get surprised, and I like that. What was I doing? Oh, well, because I also was working with gallery education, and I was managing it, and I was managing docents and professors who were doing tours. I interacted a lot with visitor services, and we both worked with Trevor Tyrell. Remember Trevor?
Yeah, I remember Trevor.
And he had a band, Weird Owl. That's what I remember too. And I think I was thinking about this. I was like, I think there used to be these parties, these staff parties in the rotunda of the museum where just all the staff would dance together. And I remember that because I also was running the intern program, that you were at one of those parties and that we all kind of were dancing. And then at some point we went out afterwards. Any of this ring a bell?
It does. It sounds very familiar. Yeah, it does.
I'm going to call
great.
this show.
And I think I know where this is.
So, what's that?
Oh, I was going to say, I feel like I know this is where this is going. Where we kind of formed a dance troupe called the Physical Light Show. Wait, is that what it was called?
Yeah, it was called Physical Light Show, and then you and I and Jennifer Nielsen. Who else? Oh, Laura Myers and Nancy Agabian, who's online right now. Hi, Nancy. We
hi,
all we did Physical Light Show. I remember we would create our costumes, and we would then go to we had milk crates, and we would go to different bands. The idea was to go to different bands, but it was usually just Weird Al, because I think they were okay with us doing this. And then we would do kind of a performance intervention where we would just start to dance to their music as if we were actually go-go dancers for them, something like
Yeah.
that. Does that?
Something like that. Like I remember it, and I without also like also something what I really remember is like part of the costume for one of them were those like kind of like full body long underwear, like the red like underwear that has like the flap in the back or something. And I sort of remember being like that plus more of a costume, and then just kind of like bicycling from a rehearsal dance space to the Lower East Side where we did this like dancing for Trevor's psychedelic band, and it was really
You know what's
really
so funny?
fun.
It was really fun because, you know, we made those costumes pretty quickly. I remember those were the long. Yes, everyone got the firemen long underwear, and we used white duct tape to wrap it around ourselves to make stripes. Some of us did that. I also remember some costumes where we were. I think you found a trash bin behind a furrier, and you
Oh
got a
yeah,
bunch of fur scraps.
yeah.
Does that sound familiar?
Yes, I remember like where where I used to live in Greenpoint. There was like a fur shop,
Uh-huh.
um, just like right around the corner, and I was just very interested in what I could find in the trash, and I found so many like fur scraps.
Well,
So
I think what happened is when you went off and did it, we were like, we thought they were big scraps of fur, and there were, but there was also just one time. Then you brought a big, then you had a big bag of loose fur, and this was like fur that was just cut off the hide. So what that meant was it was just basically a bag of hair that we didn't know what to do with. So that bag of hair, it was a it was basically black and white loose hair, a trash bag full, a transparent trash bag full, and it sat on the floor of my kitchen for, which was interesting because it had black and white tile. And it sat on the floor of my kitchen for about a month. And then I decided, you know what I'll do? This is when Craigslist was a big deal. I'll just post on Craigslist that I have this bag of loose hair, you know. And so I posted on Craigslist, I had a bag of loose hair, and I was willing to give it away to anyone who was free. And I would get all of these emails, you know, from Craigslist at work, and they were all New Yorkers, crazy New Yorkers, saying really weird things about the bag of fur. Tell me more about this bag of fur. There's another one. My husband's out of town, and I want to meet you with your bag of fur. And then I had another one. My daughter and I would like to come over and spread the bag of fur over your bed. And I finally found, and it was very unsavory what people wanted to do with this bag of fur. Everyone was fascinated by the bag of fur, didn't trust it because I was giving it away for free, because that was just weird, you know.
yeah.
And then I finally found someone who was a felter, and she made felt of the bag of fur, and we met at my neighborhood restaurant, and I gave it to her there. It was very like clandestine. We met on the corner, really, and I just gave her the big bag of fur. It was a very interesting time. This show should really be called Help Ryan Remember, because you've helped me remember a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're helping me remember too.
So something that we did together, it was interesting because Physical Light Show, maybe 3 or 4 performances, and then you and I started to work on other things, right? Like you actually had a project called the Nick Golebiewski experience, which were these shadow puppets that you did, and then I joined you to create shadow puppets and perform. And I guess, how did that work? We just threw a sheet up, and then we cut out these shadow puppets of like we did a version of E.T. with shadow puppets. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah. Oh, it does. It was yeah, it was kind of like using as the sound source to begin with was it was Michael Jackson narrating the story of E.T. And so that was just this really fun record to try to listen to. But also, so that was like half of the sound, and the other half of the sound was us talking about it, kind of like how we're talking right now, and kind of putting that into it and sort of responding to everything in there, but having a very no frills setup of basically just hanging up a sheet with like a clamp light behind it with all these like shadow puppets.
The puppets were very intricate.
It,
We would spend a lot of time cutting things out, taping things. I remember that. And the other thing that was really funny, I think my favorite one is we did like a 5-minute version of Star Wars. Is that what it was?
yes.
It was like a really
Yeah.
fast version of Star Wars. And it was frantic. It was because we had to do so much so fast behind those curtains. And we did that at the some space in the St. Mark's Theater.
Yes. Yeah. Like Richard Foreman's ontological theater. I feel
Oh,
like I'm
right.
putting the word in there. Um, but yeah, that was the pinnacle of my theater career. No.
And so it's interesting because you did that for a while, and then what you started to do when you were working over at the um, oh God, Cooper is it Cooper Hewitt? No, it's the Design Museum. Weren't you
Yes.
working at the Design? You work in
Yeah.
the Design Museum, and that's when you started your lunchtime drawings, right? They were called, weren't they,
Yes.
lunchtime? Yeah. You also did
Yeah.
bagged lunches. I'm doing a retrospective of your career here now. But you did
Oh, this is so cool.
didn't you make lunch? You made bagged lunches for people?
Yes. And I made bagged lunches for people at the Guggenheim Museum.
Oh,
They called it Nick's Lunchbox Service. And then I
right.
just sort of like pillaged and reused that name for my drawing
Ah,
project. Because I had this
ah.
cool stamp made that I could like stamp on like lunch bags. It was like Nick's Lunchbox Service. So like I had to just keep on using that with the idea that it's like, well, this drawing project. It's like one drawing every day at like kind of at that point lunchtime.
Now,
I
this
just
is
thought it was like
so
a good name to continue with.
I never understood the lunch bag series because so that means in the morning you would get up and make how many people their lunch?
It was so weird how it started. Like I think I made it for just like the person who sat next to me, Kai
Oh, okay.
T. And then like, but then it's like, oh, can I have one too? And then so it became this like once a week thing. And I think at one point it was maybe up to like 12 lunches or something. It was like really quite the production. And I would bicycle everything up. So
Nick, now see, this goes back to our theme of dedication. It's not really a theme, but it
yeah,
did seem to come up for me. It's like, when did you decide you just could no longer sustain that?
I don't know. It's hard. Like I wonder if I was just kind of avoiding something know, to begin with, like maybe I was avoiding painting and drawing. It's like, well, I can make these sandwiches and it's really fun. Um, or I just don't know, but it like there was so much and kind of serious for a while.
It was
Um,
serious. It felt like it was your second job. I mean, it was pretty wild. It was a lot of work. And the other thing that is kind of funny that you say that is that um, it's it's like it does take on a life of its own, and then you have to go, okay, what's going on here? And I agree with you. Sometimes I've found that I've done those kinds of things to avoid making art. You know what I mean? I wonder why people want to avoid making art, but
yeah, I don't know. Or it's like maybe after this, maybe it's training for art. Uh,
yeah,
or I don't know if I was looking at it as an art project of sorts, but I don't think so. If it Let's see, there was a rare criteria of Venetia at the Guggenheim at that time, and I'm like, well, if he can serve Thai food as art, then maybe making lunches is art.
right,
Uh,
right,
but
right. I remember I had a very personal, very intimate practice of making my bed as art. I felt like, God, this is really like painting because, you know, every day I would do a different, like not every day, but maybe once a week. Well, maybe every other day. I can't remember my hygiene habits at the time, but I do remember having different blankets, different pillowcases, different sheets, doing different color combinations, and kind of getting into the different color combinations I could do with my pillows, my sheets, and my blankets. And uh, I did the same thing with drapes. I had summer drapes, and this was just in my little uh, dirty little Manhattan apartment. But I had summer drapes and I had winter drapes. I got really into I got
yeah,
really distracted by that. It is funny. I had a lot of energy to do a lot of things. There was something called CAN, which was the Church of Anti-Nationalism. And I remember we had a couple meetings, but I don't think anything came out of that. There was nothing, yeah, nothing came out of that. I think that was more like just a reaction to politics at the time.
yeah,
Yeah. But I just think it's so great that you've stuck with the uh, doing the drawing a day. And I've had recently have had other folks on who also have that practice, and I, I am, I'm convinced that that kind of repetition it gives structure, which is something that Doodle with Me really helped me give structure to my time during the pandemic. I had something to look forward to, and um, you know, I yeah, it kept me engaged. So it's a dedication to something that isn't, and also for me is like a dedication to something that isn't about getting anything. I don't really get, I mean, I get connections with people, and I get the practice of just talking and drawing, which I really love. But it's not really about money for me. Like I couldn't imagine how I would even. I've tried to teach classes about doodling, and they're not as popular as just people hanging out and doodling. But so
right. Oh,
yeah,
totally.
it's been interesting. But then not making money is an interesting thing because you, at least for me, a lot of times I'm fixated on, well, how will I keep being able to make art and also pay the rent and blah blah blah. And it's there's something freeing for me to say, at this point in the week, I am not going to worry about that. That isn't something I have to worry about. It's more about me hanging out and enjoying myself. Um, that sounds crazy, but
It's really cool. I mean, it's something that you can look forward to.
yeah,
It's like, I mean, I know it's always there if, I can join in, or if anyone wants to like watch it and like participate at any level they want. I think that's so cool. And then just
It's
your way to like sort of like have this way to connect with someone every week on Friday. It's like it's just so cool that it's like every week that you're doing this and it's happening.
Yeah, and I kind of go back and forth about whether it should happen every week. That it, you know, I don't know if this happens with you on Instagram. If you start to kind of go, okay, how do I measure my success? So how do I know this is getting better or there's more coming out of this? You know, so do I look at my numbers? Like, do you look at the numbers of followers you get when you do a posting of a drawing? Is that how you measure like it? Do you look for success with your daily drawings when you post them, or?
Like sometimes it's every once in a while, like I wonder like, wait, am I working for Instagram right now? I'm spending so much time doing this. You know? And
It's
it's like, wait, what
yeah,
am I getting out of it? And so it's like that place to put it's like a place for that drawing to live. Like and it's also like a place for interaction sometimes. So sometimes I'm very unclear what I want to get out of it. I mean, uh, you know, sometimes like on the side it'll be like I'll get a commission out of that and it'll help pay this, the bills for the studio. But
right.
yeah, it's really like weird measuring that. And so like I I am looking like why did this one only get like 30 and that one 80? And then I'm
Yeah.
like why do I care right now?
Now,
And so it's like that
what if we transferred that model to actually having a show? So that would mean that if you were having a show, let's say that Instagram was a gallery, that would
hmm
mean that the show would only be as successful as the amount of people that would come to the show. So if a lot of people came to the show, but if it's Instagram, they're coming to the show, but they wouldn't talk to you, they wouldn't say anything, there wouldn't be any reaction. You would just know if they came to the show or not.
yeah,
Would that show be considered successful?
I
You
don't
know?
think so. Like would it be like a show that's remembered or a show that is kind of like breaking new ground or it's like
No, because I don't think that's measured at all on Instagram. It's not like, I mean, there are some people on Instagram who will post other people's work that they like. So I guess that those people are kind of like, they're like, I guess they're curators or critics, right? So maybe that's what that is. I don't
I
know. I
guess
think it's just a
yeah.
different model, and I don't know who is the model serving. You know, is it serving artists or is I guess it's serving artists to get their work out.
I
I don't
think
know. It's
so.
just it's just something that's kind of interesting. I mean, I definitely know that it helps to structure my day, um, and or my week. I'm trying to think what else. Um, yeah. Have you found, since you've been doing this drawing series for about 8 years, have you found that your relationship to drawing has changed because of it, or that um, the way the work looks has changed, or like what has this series given you?
I feel like throughout it, there's like slight shifts in the materials that I'm using. Whenever that does, it's just like really exciting. Like, how can I, use this micron pen, the most or whatever. And then like, how do
Mm.
I like, switch that up? And it's like, okay, like this year, it turns out I'm using pencil a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, kind of like how those things impact it, but also, um, just kind of like things like freedom of line or like I don't know, it's like led to some interesting things like being able to give like a sketching tour in Prospect Park in Brooklyn, like be like, okay, let's just like sketch this stuff together as we go through the park. And so it's kind of like sketching for non-artists where I don't know, I try to like, I don't know, like if there's an impact of it, it means that it's just like drawing is just kind of like drawing. It can just be like an extension of you.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be something that you're good at. Sometimes I make terrible drawings, but it's almost like a way to both like kind of like be present and really observe with the way that I'm doing the drawing, but also like at the same time, it's being so focused on something that like, everything else disappears.
That's like a
So
good kind of a zone. Yeah.
yeah, so kind of like totally the opposite. It's like in order to be part of this environment, I'm totally removing myself from this environment and almost not existing. Um, I don't know. What have you thought about existence lately, Ryan?
Oh my goodness. Well, we're out of time. No, I'm just joking. What do I
Oh,
what do I
please,
think
no.
of what do I think about existence lately? Um, I am troubled by people's suffering. So that troubles me that people have to suffer, and I've been troubled by that, including some of my own suffering. But today's been a good day, so I haven't really been thinking about that. I existence. I One thing I think that's happening is my sense of time is very different. Uh, it My past and my present seem to blur together in ways that they didn't before. So that might be just an age thing, but I'm much more aware of that. Um, I'm aware of how much language creates, it kind of uh, it, it informs how I perceive my existence. So depending on what I'm saying in my head, sometimes will make me perceive that my existence is a certain way, and then other times it's very different. It's very abstract. So I've been, and I have been kind of working with language in this. I mean, I've been having some struggles in the studio. So that's because I'm bringing more. I think I'm bringing more expectation into the studio than before. And also because I'm teaching, I think that does something different to the expectations I bring into the studio. Like I think I become a teacher in the studio, and I don't really need that half the time. Anyway, how are things going on with you in existence? What are your thoughts about existence, Mr.
Yeah,
Asking the hardest question in the world?
I know. It's like I don't even. I think I asked it first, so this is only fair. Still working with it. That is
Not
not an
easy, is
answer
it?
at all. No, it isn't. It's just, I mean, trying to, like in the end, wanting things to be better, and just kind of like just making the point to be like more kind of like speaking up what's making like what's the internal making it external and like speaking more and trying to communicate more and
Uh-huh.
getting sort of like kind of like getting that going. So it's very very I think even more abstract and more of a non-answer. Um, but
It's so much.
uh,
It's so when I used to measure my existence by what I like materially got, like depending on my job or the identity I had in my job or the money I was making or the things that I was buying. That used to be really like how I measured like whether I was existing well. And now it's very different and more confusing because I'm not doing that as much as I used to. Like I never knew. I really fell into becoming pretty materialistic at one point in my life, and I think that kind of kept me distracted enough not to not think about issues of existence and stuff. But now I'm not doing that as much, or I'm doing it. Well, I don't have the money to do it. But I also think that it hasn't been a bad thing to not do that, you know. And I and and it's helped me kind of prioritize other things, you know. Basically, I'm prioritizing people more than I was before. I mean, I prioritize people. I've always done that, so I don't know what I'm saying, but I think that I used to strive for things that didn't really make sense with the kind of person I was, and I think it's getting better. But yeah, existence, I don't know. I think that, you know, it's still an open question. um, but the other thing I was going to ask you about your work is, do you have goals for your work, or is it really just to do it?
It is partly just to do it, especially the drawing a day. And it's this constant struggle to kind of go between like, I just want to do this,
Right.
and being like, well, this should be like a body of work and keep on
Yeah.
doing this, pushing it, whether it's like just working on using like materials, being like, okay, like how do I do so much with these watercolors, and kind of keeping it with the theme of, you know, like kind of like investigating like
Right.
neighborhood New York City that are like kind of like quintessentially New Yorkish, like I,
Yeah, that's something that's really changed with how you've worked, because before, when we were working together, it seemed to be a lot about kind of storytelling and the imagination. Like we kind of would, it was a lot of storytelling. I remember we would do storytelling. That was an aspect of it. But now I feel kind of like you're really doing this thing about just recording neighborhoods and storefronts, and kind of it's almost a more classic kind of take on the whole idea of the like artist in the city, you know. And so
yeah,
it's like a shift from using, it's like, feels like a shift from using your drawing and your imagination and stuff for storytelling, more to something of just observing. And I find that really interesting shift. And
yeah, it's like,
I wonder about like, how did that happen?
yeah, I think um, it may have happened because I was just like, um, you know, my was amazing, Joni, and helped kind of like steer me to getting, really encouraged me to get a studio space again. Because up until my first, you know, 10 years in New York City, it was just sort of working out of like whatever space on sort of whatever shadow puppet
Yeah.
show or like kind of like Super 8 film. And the Super 8 films were lots of them kind of like recording what's going on, sort of like kind of like, you know, like making this record of like a historical moment, except it's just like history on a very personal scale.
Yeah,
um
yeah, completely.
yeah,
I feel like that makes a lot of sense to me. I think sometimes what's happened is because I've worked in art museums for so long, and you know, you kind of around this high level contemporary art dialogue, and then as an artist, I don't find that I'm involved with that. Like that's just not, I don't have access to that right now, and I'm not quite sure where it comes from anymore. And so there's a part of me that's like looks at what, like, you know, you're doing or other friends are doing and going, okay, like we're, you know, to me, it makes me very curious about what I thought art was supposed to be, and then really what it is for me and the people I know who are making it, and how it really is different than maybe things that I see like in art forum, or, you know, I can't put the same kind of art jargon onto the things that my friends and I are making that I see other people doing, because I'm not part of that like whole machine anymore. Does that make sense?
It does. Sort of like the further away from undergraduate school and, working at the Guggenheim Museum where that was like, the big dialogue. Um,
Right.
there, like kind of like all the time, and especially you and being in education, like parsing out
No.
kind of like this high art dialogue, so like kids in school could understand it, and like you know, or just like be able to interact with it like at a really cool level. So in that way, you
Right.
are a total storyteller. But yeah, but at the
Yeah.
same time, wondering like how can I like bring some of the stories back into the art. Um,
Exactly. Yeah. So Nick, this is our time is up.
okay, awesome. Oh, let me turn around. So
Uh,
that
oh
is
yeah. Wow.
a very very leafy kind of sketch thing today.
I like
Okay.
it. Now, were you working from a plant in front of you, or is that just from your imagination? Or is it both?
I was referencing. I was looking over at some leaves. I got some clippings from someone else in the building. So
Uh-huh. This is what it ended up looking
it's just
like.
kind of
I tend
like
to make these I tend to make these patterns that are just kind of I think I'm going to start to design like maybe sheets, bedspreads.
that sounds cool.
All right. I don't know.
Can I
So,
turn this light back on? No, that light is done for.
what,
But
what's that?
here, am I frozen now?
Oh, you froze. Okay. All right.
Sorry, like my
Well,
thing freezing a little, but
so just as my friend Heather joined us, we're actually ending. So hello, Heather, and goodbye, Heather. Thank you, Nick, very much for all your time and just shooting the breeze with me. I appreciate it. It's great to hear more about your work and just to hang out. I miss hanging out with you. So,
yeah.
um, and
Thank you
we
so
have
much for
some very
having me,
funny
Ryan.
stories. Sure. And just as a promo, for all of you who have just joined, um, Doodle with Me happens every Friday night from 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time to and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So join us on Friday night if you can. We'd love to have you and doodle with us while we chat and just doodle together. So this is happening. It's free and it's for you. So and for us and for Nick and for me. Okay, look at that. That's amazing. That some of these drawings are so big, Nick. You must be working on them for a long time.
Yes, yeah, I think that's one of the reasons why I started that drawing a day project, because it can be done in 5 minutes, where like that
Yes.
one took the course of like over a year.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. There's something that's satisfying about doing a quick drawing, so I understand. All right, well, thanks. Great talking to you, and have a great weekend. And yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Brian. Thank you so much. This was awesome
Oh,
being on Doodle with me.
yeah.
Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Well, we'll keep in touch, and everybody hope to see you sometime when you can, and just keep doing non-productive uh, things. Waste your time because it's your time, and so you should waste it. Okay, that's my little sign-off motto. All right, bye.
Bye, Ryan. Bye, everyone.